Hey there, welcome to the garden. We've got kind of a gray morning here, but I pulled out a few seeds and I don't know if I'm gonna plant all the things that I grabbed. Of course, I just went into my seed collection and grabbed a bunch of stuff, but I'm gonna try to do a little sort of in-ground planting experiment. I have this tiny little section of in-ground space. There's really not much, maybe, I don't know, what is that, 10 inches? But I love in-ground planting. There's something just different about when plants just grow into the ground versus containers. I do feel like they just do so well. And I thought it'd be fun along this back wall, since we have this little in-ground area, to maybe put in some sunflowers just to kind of have as the back of the garden. So as you can see, the whole fence here runs along the entire back of the garden. And I thought it would be so pretty to have like a backdrop of sunflowers growing along there if we can do it. And look, by the way, just look how much of a real garden it's starting to look like. Oh my gosh, there's so much color now. It's looking so bright. So anyways, I thought it'd be pretty to put some sunflowers along the back here. And I think, so this soil isn't great. It's kind of been mulched, but I dug it up a little bit. There's some dead weeds in here too. But I think there might be, if I keep it wet enough with the hose, and there's some soil in there, there's the mulch. I think I'm just gonna rake it up a tiny bit in a few little sections and then just basically plant into the mulch. Sometimes this works really well, sometimes it doesn't. I've obviously never gardened in this garden space before, so I'm not totally sure how it's going to work. But planting in, even with seeds, into a very well mulched area is actually usually a really good thing, because with the mulch it holds all the moisture in the ground and can grow really well. In my last garden I had really good luck with my I barely had any in-ground garden space, but I did have some. There was some in-ground area, and I had really good luck planting into that, even seeding into that, because it was so just the moisture was held so well by the mulched area. Now the nice thing about this garden is that it's just so open here. The fence does shade it a little bit in the morning, but by the afternoon this area actually gets a decent amount of sun, and hopefully enough. I think I've been kind of watching it the last few days, and I feel like we are getting around at least that 6 to 8 hours of sun. So I think we can probably do some sunflowers. So I just went in and grabbed 3 different kinds of sunflowers, sort of just big branching sunflowers. I figured tall branching sunflowers would be perfect for this area, so I grabbed a few of those. And then I also grabbed some corn, because why not? And yeah, let me show you what I got. Okay, so here we go with sunflowers. This is the mammoth sunflower, classic big branching sunflower. If you want a gorgeous branching sunflower, go with the mammoth. They get huge, and the flower heads are massive, 12 to 24 inch in diameter. I mean, just they're trees. Yeah, it says rivals many trees. It does. But the bees and the butterflies and everything will be all over this, and they tend to do well. I mean, this is I don't know what quality soil this is. I don't even know what's underneath here. If anything can grow, it's going to be something like a mammoth sunflower, and these are going to be really cool. So we'll do that. And then I picked up a couple of other ones. So I have the mammoth sunflower is, as you can see from the picture, just that classic yellow sunflower look. So nothing particularly special about this, although they're just stunning. How tall? I don't know. It doesn't say how tall these plants get. Oh wait, here we go. 5 to 12 feet tall. Huge. Then we have these evening star, which I thought these were pretty because they kind of have that mix of sort of antique-y reds. Again, they're branching, so you're just going to get more blooms throughout the season. That's why I always love the branching sunflowers. These get about 5 to 6 feet tall, so they're a little smaller than the mammoth sunflowers, but they're still going to be nice and big, and they're going to definitely be well over the top of the garden. You should be able to see all of these sunflowers blooming beautifully over even the tall raised beds. I don't think it'll be any kind of a problem. So these will be really pretty. And then the last one I'm going to plant are these Velvet Queen, which are just such a beautiful color. Another 5 to 6 foot tall sunflower. It's going to produce 4 to 7 flowers per plant. It's gorgeous as a cut flower. 75 to 100 days maturity on these guys, and then the other two, yeah, 80 to 90 days. So we have a little while, but by fall, if they do come up, they're going to be gorgeous. I think they're going to be okay. I don't think like the squirrels or anything have really figured out, knock on wood, that that we've got like a big garden here. So hopefully I can plant all this just like into the ground and not deal with too many issues, but we'll see how it goes. I'm also going to intersperse along with these a few little stalks of corn, just to kind of make it fun. Not like a ton. I want to do pretty thick planting of sunflowers, and then the corn I'm going to do just like in a few little places, maybe like 2 or 3 seeds in a few places. I love the little like farm aesthetic that corn gives. And this is a glass gem corn. I am not planning on being able to like harvest any of this corn to eat, but it'll just be kind of like more for decorative purposes. But it is a really beautiful corn, and if I do get a few stalks, then I'll be able to use it as a decorative, those decorative corn stalks in the fall. I don't think you eat glass gem corn. It doesn't look like it. No, it's an ornamental. Oh, but you also can. So you could eat it if you wanted to. But yeah, I'm just hoping maybe I'll get a few small stalks, and then maybe I can use them for some decorations. They're going to be about 6 to 8 feet tall, so perfect height range. And they should just be beautiful. I think corn plants are so pretty. I just really like them. So that's what I'm going to be mostly focusing on. And then I grabbed a few things. I do have this trellis here, and so I thought I would try, I don't know, throw in another tromboncino squash. I have the one tromboncino squash that is growing in a container. It's doing okay. It's starting to take off. It's growing, but the leaves just like, it doesn't look quite as vigorous as I, for some reason, I thought it would. I thought it would be like more, just thought it would do more, I guess. I don't know. It's growing, but it's not like taking off. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna stick one in the ground and see. So these are just super awesome. So you can harvest them. They're a big, huge vine. You can harvest them like a zucchini when they're small, and they're just super cool looking squash. They kind of get like these big like curves, and I don't know, they're supposed to be incredibly vigorous. So hopefully I can handle sort of the poor soil. I'm going to plant it at the base of this trellis. I'm going to stick this trellis in, and then maybe we'll get a couple. And then down at the far end where I have lots and lots of extra space, I'm also going to try to plant in some of these Hail Best jumbo squash, or not squash, melons. I have been wanting to grow melons for a long time, and I haven't had a good spot, and I feel like melons do better in ground. So I'm going to plant it over there like at the end of the garden so it has room to ramble, and we're just going to see. These are just a cantaloupe style melon. They're supposed to be more drought tolerant than some melons, so, and do well in the hot weather. So I thought that would be good considering we've got like this hot patio area here, and I'm going to try to keep everything watered, but you know, in case we don't have like tons and tons of water. And they're just, yeah, 5 to 8 melons per vine. I might do like 2 vines. I'm just gonna stick them again down at the end of the garden, and we'll plant them in ground and see. With some of these things growing in ground, it just works. I have had such a hard time growing melons in containers. I've struggled with it so much. So you know, even though this in-ground area is not like by any means a real, you know, big in-ground space, it's worth giving it a shot because it's going to do better than if I try to do it in a container. I just know. Now, this is a rental property. We are going to be moving after a year, as I've said a million times. Like, this isn't our forever home, and this isn't my forever garden. If this were a garden that I was going to be staying in for years after years, I would build up this little area with a lot of compost. I would really work on this soil, and I think you could probably develop even a little small section of in-ground planting into something that produces pretty well. Like, if you really put in the effort to compost it and do all that, you probably could get it going, and you actually could probably plant a lot. Like, we've got a long little strip here, and you could probably just do like square foot gardening and go down the line and plant a lot of stuff. I'm not doing that, as I said, because yeah, this isn't my garden. I want to leave the mulch as much as possible in place, and I'm just going to grow like in and around the mulch, and then we'll take everything out at the end of the year and you won't even be able to notice that there was anything in here. But yeah, if this was my garden forever, I would take out, you know, mulch with compost on top of the mulch and work it all in and do all that. We're kind of just gonna test it out, and we're just gonna see what happens with this soil. I probably will fertilize it with my water soluble fertilizer to give it a little bit of oomph, but I actually just weeded it because the weeds were doing really well in the soil. So you never know, when the weeds are doing well like that, maybe it'll do well. One other plant I'm gonna pop in, well actually two. So actually three. Okay, so I pulled out 3 more seeds. I just can't help myself. So I thought I would do a couple little patches of canary bird zinnias. These are a really tough, hardy zinnia. When I had my garden plot, I used to have a garden plot that was kind of like, it was overrun with weeds. It was like this wild space, and I put these in and they flourished. So with that memory of these just being tough and hardy and beating out the weeds and like going for it, I thought, you know what, maybe just a couple little patches of these zinnias would be fun, and maybe they'll actually do well. And I'm just like, these are pretty tall zinnia. They got pretty high, so I think they'll reach, like, I have the 2-foot trough planters, so I think these will get to be about 3 feet, so they'll probably come up above the trough planters and you'll actually be able to like see them and everything too. And then I don't know, borage is like a fall planting. I think you're supposed to plant these. When are you supposed to sow them? I always think of sowing these like before the last frost, but you know what, I thought I really want to bring in the pollinators, and borage is another one that's like kind of one of those just like really tough plants. I've had really good luck seeding these into places like this. Like, it just goes after it. So I thought it'd be worth it to do, again, just like little clumps. I'm just gonna do a couple little sections of these flowers to kind of see if they can get going and establish and have just kind of make it look a little wildflower, and something lower, because we've got the 12-foot mammoth zinnias, we've got the 6-foot, not mammoth zinnias, mammoth sunflowers, we've got the 6-foot sunflowers, we're gonna have a little bit of the corn, and then we need something a little lower. So we'll do the borage and the zinnias, and then I'm just gonna toss in some elephant dill. I actually don't know if this is going to do anything. Like, dill can be a little tricky to get seeded, but I thought it would add to the sort of meadowy kind of look. And also these seeds are really old, so I kind of need to use them, and you can always find dill. It's a very like readily available seed, so I figured we'll just scatter this over the top, kind of surface sow dill anyways, and if anything comes up and takes off, then it'll be pretty, it'll be cool. And if they don't do well, it was an old seed that I had anyways, and you know, it is what it is. We did the best we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get seed sowing on this. I guess I'll put it on a time lapse. I feel like it's gonna take me a little while to lay out all the seeds, but we'll see the process, and then I'm just gonna keep it watered in, and I think that's gonna be the plan. Okay, it's all planted. Was this a little reckless? Yes, I don't know. But if it pays off, it'll be really great. One thing I did notice as I was planting it out was there was a little evidence of some like pathways from some slugs. So I'm gonna go check in my garden shed and see if I have any Sluggo Plus. If I don't, I actually probably will go ahead and order some. That's the thing with, I mean, it can happen in your container garden, your raised beds too. Obviously you can deal with slugs, but especially like in an in-ground situation, you know, they're just gonna take out the seedlings. So all that work would be for nothing, and that would be super disheartening if I planted this whole area up and then the slugs came in and ate it. This is a pretty dry climate, so I'm kind of surprised that there are so many slugs, but I think, you know, just like in that wood chips, that's just such prime area. Luckily with the container garden, other than the ants that I found in one of the beds, I really haven't dealt with too many pests. I think, you know, the garden, like the pests still haven't really found the garden, but yeah, and especially in an area like this with all this mulch, you know, there's gonna be some slugs and stuff. So I'm gonna run into the garden shed here and just check and see if I have any. If not, then I'll go go just run and order some. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have any in there, so I'm gonna have to go order some of that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna water this. We've got a nice cool day here, so actually I feel like it's gonna be a good little rest for the garden because it's been so hot, bright and hot and sunny. Sorry, it's garbage truck pickup morning. But anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna keep this watered in, and then I'll keep you updated over the next few days on how it does. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.